Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at probably the most talked about figure in tech and business right now, Elon Musk.
Definitely keeps people talking.
He does. We've got a stack of really fascinating articles here, mostly from a Chinese publication called DCU, which translates roughly to Musk's predicament, or maybe Musk's dilemma.
Predicament. That sets a tone.
It does. So our mission today is basically to unpack these sources, pull out the key insights into the challenges and opportunities he's facing right now across everything Tesla, SpaceX, and his newer AI venture, xAI.
Right, it's a lot to juggle.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to give you a sense of that tone, the very first image in our main source material is striking. It's this illustration, looked like Musk sort of seemingly just been punched in the face, got a star swirling around his head.
Wow.
Yeah. It really signals that this deep dive, well, it's going to explore the hits, but also the misses of his whole empire.
What's really fascinating, I think, is how these sources piece together such a comprehensive picture. It's not just what's happening, but why it matters. Connecting the dots between all the different companies and his public image.
Okay, let's dig into that then. The title itself, Musk's predicament, like you said, it tells us the angle right away. It's not just business stuff. It's about the sheer intensity of it all.
The pressure.
Exactly. The sources even have this pretty surprising quote from Musk himself where he said, "I felt like I was 40 years old at 5.
At 5, wow.
Yeah. I mean, that really says something about the kind of perceived struggle, this constant weight he seems to carry, or at least that's the perception conveyed.
And if we sort of broaden that idea, this predicament, it brings up a really important question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How does one person manage such a diverse and incredibly demanding portfolio?
Yeah.
And what happens when that focus, that attention gets fragmented? The source points out it's often hard for people on the outside to really grasp his situation. The reaction tends to be more emotional rather than a clear look at the demands on him.
So immense pressure, huge ambitions, which leads us straight to Tesla. It feels like Tesla really mirrors this whole roller coaster thing, and it's obviously central to his empire, his fortune.
Oh, that's the one.
And the sources really hammer home the wild ride its stock has been on.
They do. Tesla's stock, it's seen these incredible swings. The sources mentioned a recent period with like a 13% fall, but also a 30% jump by the end of 2024.
That's huge volatility.
It is. And that kind of movement, it's not just day-to-day trading noise. It signals, I think, a deep uncertainty in the market about where Tesla goes next, beyond just selling cars, especially with these big promises for FSD and robotaxi. Investors seem like they're on edge, reacting strongly to every little bit of news.
And I guess those stock swings probably reflect some real challenges in production and delivery, too, based on what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. The numbers show it. 2023 output was 1.9 million vehicles. That was actually short of their 2 million target.
Okay.
Then first half of 2024, production hit 500,000.
Yeah.
But that missed the 600,000 target.
Another miss.
Yeah, and even looking at Q1 2024, the expectation was somewhere between 450,000 and 475,000, again falling short of a 500,000 goal. And the sources even mentioned specific problems, like back in July 2025, Model Y production delays reported in some factories.
And then there's the whole robo-taxi and full self-driving or FSD tech. That's supposed to be a huge part of Tesla's future value, right? We know there's that August 8th unveiling date for the robo-taxi.
Right, and this is where you see really conflicting views in the source material. On one side, you have Musk claiming Tesla's FSD is actually safer than human drivers.
Which is a big claim.
A very big claim. But then you have significant skepticism from experts, from investors, about whether it's truly viable, whether it's safe. There are ongoing legal issues, criticisms about Musk's focus.
Right.
The sources even note concerns that maybe FSD isn't quite ready, and that the company might be, using it as a kind of pretext for delivery delays, which really underlines how crucial investor confidence and those financial ties are for Tesla's stability long term.
So with these production hiccups and the FSD questions, where does that leave Tesla right now on the world stage, market share-wise? Is its dominance slipping, or is this just like a temporary thing?
Well, looking at the 2025 EV market share trends in the sources, it's a mixed bag. In China, overall EV market share is up, but Tesla faces fierce competition there, especially from BYD.
Yeah, they're huge.
They are. Then in Europe and the U.S., Tesla's market share is described as flat, and maybe the most striking point is a decline in the Asia-Pacific region. The source actually says, quote, Tesla is losing 20-plus market share points in Europe and the U.S.
20-plus points. Wow, that's substantial.
It really is. It points to a major shift in how competitive that landscape has become.
And speaking of focus, a big concern from investors that pops up in these sources is this idea that Musk is distracted. Distracted by Twitter and by XAI, and that Tesla is being neglected as a result.
Yeah, and that ties directly back to that whole predicament idea we started with.
Yeah.
It highlights the real financial consequences. Tesla's value, for instance, is down something like $700 billion from its peak.
Ooh.
And then there's that ongoing lawsuit against the board over Musk's massive compensation package, the $55 billion one. It just shows how that fragmented attention can have direct financial fallout.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit then. SpaceX. This has always seemed like the crown jewel, right? Holding 84% of the global launch market in 2023. That's dominant.
Hugely dominant.
Yeah.
But even with that position, this deep dive shows there are definite hurdles there too.
Like what?
Well, Starship, for one. 2 test flight failures reported in the first half of 2024. And there are ongoing worries about its reusability, the cost, the funding needed to actually get it fully operational.
Right, the big rocket.
Exactly. And NASA itself has apparently voiced concerns about Starship, wanting to see, quote, more efficient progress to meet their timelines.
Pressure from NASA.
Yeah. And it's not just Starship. Boeing's Starliner program, the other key part of NASA's commercial crew transport, that's had its own delays, certification issues, impacting NASA's plans. They were hoping for completion in 2024.
So, issues with both major providers.
Seems like it. NASA's apparently called for more stable funding and wants better progress from its private partners. The source quotes something about needing one major commercial space launch provider and its regulatory bodies to accept the necessary methods. It sounds like frustration.
Interesting. But despite those launch challenges, Starlink, the satellite internet service, that seems like a bright spot, doesn't it? Valued at $40 billion. Big contracts, like $4 billion from the U.S. Air Force.
It's definitely a strong performer, no doubt. A major asset. But even there, SpaceX faces competition from giants like Boeing and ULA. That's the United Launch Alliance. And the sources even raised the possibility of anti-monopoly investigations down the line if SpaceX's dominance just keeps growing.
Ah, the double-edged sword of success.
Pretty much. And it's fascinating how Musk frames it. The sources quote him saying something like, SpaceX is a small company compared to a planet.
Ah, okay. Talk about ambition, maybe downplaying the current dominance a bit.
Perhaps. It certainly highlights his focus on, the really big picture beyond Earth.
Which brings us nicely to his latest obsession, it seems, XAI and its AI model, Grok. For listeners who maybe haven't followed this as closely, Grok is XAI's chatbot, their AI. What's the story the sources tell here?
Well, Grok 1.0 launched back in June 2024, and Musk has been very vocal, claiming Grok 4 is the world's most powerful AI. He even thinks apparently it can beat other major large language models.
Big claims again.
Always. And his personal involvement is key here. He's using data from X, from Twitter, to train Grok. That's drawn, both interest and some concern. One source flat out says X is essentially providing free data.
Leveraging assets.
Clearly. And it seems to be working in terms of attracting money. XAI has raised, $6 billion USD in funding rounds, so investors are definitely interested.
Okay, but this comes right back to that core question again, doesn't it? Focus. How does this massive new venture, another really demanding one, affect his time and attention for Tesla, for SpaceX, companies that are already incredibly complex?
It's the million-dollar question, or maybe the multi-billion-dollar question here. And the sources actually quote Musk on this shift. Regarding AI, he said, I haven't really spent much time on artificial intelligence, but it's time.
But it's time, wow.
Yeah. That signals a major reprioritization, and it really makes you wonder, how much can one person effectively steer 3 huge, highly complex ventures like this at the same time? Can something not give?
It feels like these company challenges are just so tangled up with Musk himself, his personal actions, his style. Our sources seem to dig into that too, not just the corporate stuff.
They really do. They describe a management style, particularly at Tesla, with high employee turnover. Reports of managers being fired if they questioned him, leading to internal criticism. There's even mention of a secret memo about this turnover. Oof. Tough environment, maybe.
Seems implied. And then there are the public controversies the sources bring up, like the Dogecoin thing, where he apparently said he just thought it was a joke.
Right, I remember that.
The whole X Twitter acquisition, the financial strain it caused, how it clearly diverted his focus, and then accusations of political bias.
The sources specifically mention right-wing bias reports and the potential impact on brand perception.
And how did he respond, according to the sources?
His reported response was pretty direct. I don't care. I do what I believe is right.
Okay, so putting it all together, the source really paints this picture of Musk's predicament as this incredibly difficult balancing act, juggling his attention, his energy across so many high-stakes things at once.
Exactly. And it's crucial to remember how this ties into his personal wealth. So much of it, estimated at $360 billion USD at its peak, is tied up in Tesla stock.
Right.
So he's incredibly sensitive to Tesla's ups and downs. His decisions across all his companies have direct financial consequences for him personally. The source even noted, like, his wealth went up 1% on a day Tesla stock rose 1%. Is that direct a link?
So what does this all mean? I mean, our deep dive into Musk's predicament really shows a leader trying to navigate this unbelievably complex landscape. Every decision, every tweet, every launch, it all has these massive ripple effects. For his companies, yes, but also for global industries, even space exploration.
It really does, and I think it leaves us with a pretty big question, In this era of just relentless technological ambition and constant information overload, what can we actually learn from someone like Elon Musk?
Yeah.
About innovation, sure, but also about leadership, and maybe about the limits of what one single person can influence or control. What really stands out to you when you think about how all these different challenges seem to feed into each other?
It's a lot to think about. We really hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights into Musk's very complex world right now. Thanks so much for joining us, and we definitely encourage you to keep exploring these ideas.